All right, I'm going to do some Halloween crafts again. And this is a cutout I done with my laser. And it's actually just like a shelf sitter. And it's by itself, but I am going to add it to a 2x4. So I went out to the garage and found me a scrap piece of 2x4, and I've sanded it down real good. And I'm going to put this on here, and actually, this is all supposed to be put on here like that with the cat on it, and the moon, and the star, and that would be by itself, and it sits on a shelf, which is cute. But I am going to add it to this, so I am not going to use this moon and star. I made a little bit bigger one, and I am going to put them up on that somewhere, kind of like that. And I will have this in my Buy Me a Coffee store, and it'll just be the, these pieces here, and I'll also include the bigger stars and moon, just in case you should want to do the same thing. But otherwise, it is just a little shelf sitter, which is really cute. All right, I'm going to start out. I'll move this stuff here back, and I'm going to paint my 2x4. I'm just going to paint it black. And I won't have you sitting here watch me just paint this black, because everybody can smear paint. Well, I finished painting this, and I said it was a 2x4. It's probably more like a 2x6, because this is the width of it. But I'll be turning it like this. And then I also, while I have my black paint going with painting with it, I went ahead and painted the cat, and my little tail is this is so thin that it broke, and I glued it back on. And I wanted to distress it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to distress that little tiny tail. As you can see, it is really thin right there. But that was the pattern, so I'm going to go with it. I'm going to leave that there, and now I'm going to start painting my pumpkin. And on the pumpkin, I'm going to use Spice Pumpkin by Americana. And on the pieces that go underneath like this here, I am just going to paint the color around the edge, just in case it shows some. It'll be that color, the same color as other top piece. Okay. And then I will paint the stem a green. Okay, I'll leave that alone. Now I'll paint this one, which goes on top of this. I'll paint it the solid color. And then I'll paint each one of these little slats that go on top of this color also. All right, I am going around the edge of the black with the Golden Sunset. I'm just putting my brush in the Golden Sunset, a stencil brush, just kind of going around it a little bit. I don't want a lot. I think that's good. I have this painted. Now I need to probably go around these little things right here with my distressing ink and a little dauber. I think I'll take these off and do that. And then I also need to paint the stars and the moon. I think I'll do that next because I already have some paint out. I'll set this aside for a minute. Okay, I have my brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint these the Golden Sunset. And I wanted to show, I am very carefully going to distress some of this cat. When I get to the tail, May have to just leave it alone. Okay, I'm just holding it. See if I can get some of it anyway. Well, now I think that's good enough. Push my luck. Oh, don't want to push it too far. Set that aside and get my ink and ink my pumpkins. Okay, now I'm going to use the walnut stain distress ink and just go around the edges of this. Now this piece here, that's just the without the stem, I'll go around it just a little bit. And I might as well go around this one. This I painted Lush Green by Americana. I've put my little slat pieces where I want them, and I'm going to glue the edges first. And I'm just using some wood glue from the Dollar Tree. And if I'd had my glue gun on, I would have used a little bit of that so it would be held in place fast. But now I'm going to have to let this one dry. Okay, now I'll put this one on. And I'll just continue to do this with all the pieces. Now that I have those in place where I believe I want them, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down so it can dry. All the glue can dry. Okay, while this is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and put my cat on there. And I went ahead and put, some glue under that. I'm going to go ahead and glue this all together. And then I'm going to let it set for a while. And then come back and finish it. Well, while all my pieces on my project are drying, I decided I needed to get out to the garden. There was a couple of my Sweet Annie bushes I need to take down. So I cut them down and I wrapped some jute around them, and I have them hanging in our extra bathroom. And they're over the tub, and I have a few more that I might get to cut down if they turn out. So when they're ready, I'll cut those down and dry those also. Well, I have it all glued down. And it's dry, so now I'm going to go over it with some clear wax. And that will seal it all in. And then I have just a couple little things to put on it. But I'm going to seal this right fast, and then I'll be back. And now I'm putting some little tendrils on my pumpkin, and I'm using the floral wire. I got this off of Amazon, and I'm telling you what, when you open it up, don't let it go, because it starts twirling. Coming undone. I've got it hooked over the edge right there. But if I had known it before I pulled the tape off, I would have held on to it so it wouldn't have, well, there it went. Holy moly. So I am going to have to, oh boy, I'm going to tape that. I'm going to set it aside and tape it. All right, I'm putting those on there. I've had that one attached. Now I'm going to put this one on. I took this small piece of jute, or I have small jute, and I made a little tiny bow, and I'm going to put that on the cat's neck. Right there. And I think that's finished, and now it's time to move on to the next one. I don't know, just there is a little bit of hot glue showing there, so I think I'll probably get some Spanish moss and put just a little bit right in there to cover up the hot glue showing, but there wasn't anywhere to tuck it in to keep it from showing. And I think just a little bitty spot of hot or Spanish moss will take care of that. Now, I have made a pattern for a witch's boot, and I've traced it on a piece of this scrap wood. As you can see, it's trying to split, and hopefully it doesn't. And I'm going to use my scroll saw to cut it out. I have it cut out. Now I'm going to take it over to my sander and sand it down and take it in and start painting it up. I have it cut out, and I decided, instead of having it straight across on the top, I want to take it out the scroll saw and make just a little dip on the top. And this is 8 3/4 tall and about 7 1/4 wide. That's the size I made it. So I'm going to go back out in the garage and cut that little dip out. All right, that didn't take long, and I've changed my pattern. And I will have this pattern on my Buy Me a Coffee, and it's going to be an SVG. You can cut it out with a laser. You can cut it out with your scroll saw, a jigsaw, or you can make it with cardboard, whatever. But I will have the pattern, so in case you want it. And I will leave the link for that. And I'll have the boot for sale too. And the little kitty cat one that I just finished. I'm going to put those up there. I don't decorate for Halloween, so they'll be on there. I am just going to paint this solid black all over. Give it 2 coats if it needs it. And then I'm going to take it out to the garage and distress it. And after I have all that done, I'll come back, because we all know how to paint, and when you distress, you just sand the edges good. And then from there, like I said, I'll be back and show you what else I'm going to do. Okay, now I have this painted and distressed down. So I am going to put some of the brown Jolie wax all over this, and then I'll wipe it back some. And then I decided I wanted a little star on there, so I'll paint that. And then I was wondering, I was going to just put some dots for like the eyelets or whatever they have on boots, you know. And when I cut out things, a lot of times I get little circles and stuff, and I put them in a little baggie and save them, which reminds me, I just came out of the other room, and my husband was in the pantry, and he was on his hands and knees, and he was moving things around. He said he's bored because it's raining outside. He can't get out and do anything. Everything he has to do is outside. So he's going to make a peach pie. He couldn't get to the can of peaches because there was so much stuff on the floor. Well, there's a big, we keep the trash can in there, and there's a big sack of kitty litter, or not kitty litter, cat food, Kit Kat food. Anyways, he can't we have a case of peaches on the floor too, of the size 10 or number 10 cans. And that's what he was looking for, because he's going to make a peach pie. But he couldn't get to them because there was so much stuff in there, so he decided he was going to clean it out. He should have never done that. I've been going to do that for a long time, and I'm always in here doing this kind of stuff. Anyways, he found my big stash of jars, that like pickle jars and stuff, and vegetable cans, and oatmeal container, an empty oatmeal container, you know, things we craft with. Anyone know why in the world I was keeping all that stuff? He was wanting to throw it out. I said, no, you can't throw it out. It's not supposed to be in there anyway. Anyways, he's in there cleaning up the pantry. And I don't think he's happy with me. But, oh well. Okay, so I've got that done. I'm going to wipe that back. And I am going to paint my star, the golden sunset, and the little things that I'm going to use for things that go on our shoe, antique white, and start decorating it, putting it, or, you know, putting it together and making it look cute. Oh, and I did make some tags up, which I'm getting dirty, but that's okay, because I'm going to distress those up. I'm going to wrinkle it up and make it look old. And I think it says if the shoe fits. I'll probably use this one right here if I use a tag. I've done those in my Silhouette Studio. I'm going to finish this up and start on painting that, and distressing my tag. Now, I have glued those little circles on there for like the eyelets, and I tied this around there and made a messy bow, which it needs something, so I think that's trying to figure out which side I want to use. This one. I'm going to put that on there. And then I had some little cutouts. I had a cat, a hat, and a pumpkin. And I'm going to take this one cat. I've already painted it. And I'm going to put it in the middle of that. And then I have this tag that I crumpled up and I distressed. It says, if the shoe fits. And I'm going to put that coming down right out of there. I don't want to stick my finger in that hot glue. Okay. And that is finished. And I will put this on my Buy Me a Coffee shop. It's just where I have things listed to sell. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed both of these projects. And until the next one, we'll see you later.